Friends, welcome back to my kitchen. My name is Christine and it is a casual day today, so I'm getting a few chores done, which includes doing some pressure canning. It's not the typical way. I'm going to be using my digital pressure canner that I grabbed last year, so I thought I'd bring you with and show the different steps on this amazing machine. So come on with. Okay friends, we're going to finish getting these jars ready. My hot pot just finished boiling and I'm just going to fill the rest of these jars with some warm water. You want to fill them about halfway. And this unit is unplugged right now, and it's can do 7 pint jars at a time or 5 quart jars. And just about halfway, and you want the water to be warm. And then we're going to kind of put it together. All right, so those are filled with water. And then let me switch camera angles. Okay, so I have my book out just for reference. It is currently unplugged, and it's just such an easy unit, so it's kind of like one of those Insta pots. So you just turn it, open it up, and then this is a removable part. So what I'm going to do is I've got some kind of warm water here, and there's a fill line. So I'm going to put this back in and fill this up, and up to the fill line, which I believe is about 3 liters. And you want it to be warmer water. There we go. And then you have the grate, just like a regular pressure canner, and that goes inside. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is get these jars in here, and then I'll show you what that looks like. And we'll get the unit plugged in, and it's going to heat these jars up. Meanwhile, my meat is still finishing cooking. That one in the middle. And yeah, I'm gonna get this lid on, and then I'll show you what the details look like. Okay friends, I just turned it on, and we are gonna be doing pressure canning, so that's what it's showing right now. And it just looks like that because of we're videoing, but it actually looks normal. So I'm gonna hit the select button. Okay, and then 10 comes on there, and we are going to be doing it for 75 minutes, and you just are turning the dial. It's really easy. And I'm going to hit select because we're doing pint jars, and according to what this says, we are going to be doing the ground beef, and the process time for pints is 75, quarts are 90 minutes. So, and I've got all my pints in there with the water. And so we're just going to start the process of warming them up. So right now it says insert jars, which we did. I'm going to hit the advance. Okay. And warm. So I'm going to get this lid on. It actually isn't too hard. So you just line that up and hit the locked and get that on. And then it's going to let me know when it is all warm. So you can see it advancing. So we just wait for the timer to go off. Meanwhile, I'm going to get the meat all drained and ready to do the hot packing. Okay, the timer just went off, and it was about 15 minutes, and now it says fill jars. So I'm going to take the lid off and get the jars emptied and fill them with the hot ground beef. Okay friends, ground beef is ready. So let's get these jars out of here. It's telling me to fill the jars, so you have to hit this and pull that open. And then you turn it, open it away from you, make sure that the steam is going away. I'll set that to the side. And then I'm going to take my tongs, one by one, and empty those out and get them on my pan. Okay, so I do notice that the water level did go down, so I'm just going to top it off. I've got some hot water on the stove. And I do not have granite countertops or anything, so I always use pan. So we are going to get started here. And you'll hear my hot pot going. So I'm just going to start filling these jars. And you want to leave 1 inch of head space. And I'm hot packing it. This is hot meat, hot jars, and then we're going to put them in the canner. All right. Kind of add this out too. If the meat was really greasy, I would use this, but I'm just gonna use my ladle. And roughly, I kind of figured out that 1 pound of meat pretty much fits in a pint jar. So it's a perfect size for my husband and myself, just for a quick grab and go meal that's already cooked, and you just have to heat it up. You hear some noise outside, my husband's doing some yard work, and it's just kind of one of those days to get things done around here. Let that boil a little bit more. Okay, so I roughly have all the jars filled, and it's 7 pounds of meat that I cooked up. So how am I gonna get all of that in these jars? So I literally take the other end of the of the ladle, and I'm just gonna pounce down the jars to make sure that, and you can make more head space, and that just really works for me. So I do that with regular pressure canning, etc. And then we'll just kind of top these jars off. And I did not add any seasoning to this. Right at the end, I am going to put some Redmond's real salt. And some people do season their meat, but then this way it's just kind of a blank slate. And you can make taco meat, you can make, you know, whatever you want with this. All right, so that definitely made more room. So let's top these off. I did try to drain as much fat off as I could. And this is 80-20, so I will see like a small layer of fat on the top. But like I said, I drained it the best I could. And fat is what gives the meat the flavor anyways, right? So there we go, we finished up. I got one little blip of meat left and maybe a little on the counter. Okay, whoops. Hey Google, turn off timer. So I had set a timer to see how long it took to heat up the jars, and I set it for 25 minutes. I've heard other people say, you know, 20 to 25 minutes, but maybe it's a different elevation or something, but mine only took 15 minutes. All right, that's all the meat. Move this to the side. Make sure that it's full, not too overfilled. And I am going to add my 1 teaspoon of Redmond's real salt per jar. And I like to put the salt on before I add the water. Put that to the side. And then I'm hoping I've got enough water heated up here. So I've got my hot pot, and I'm just gonna make sure and fill that accordingly up to the 1 inch headspace. And you'll hear it bubble and everything because it's got some air pockets, and then we'll get those out at the end. Okay. Got a little more water ready just in case. So I'm going to take the bubble popper here and go around the sides of the jar, and that really gets rid of those bubbles, and then everything kind of sinks into place. Because you're gonna wipe the edges off anyways, so don't worry about getting those edges dirty. So a lot of people clean the edges off. That's a perfect time to check your jars to make sure that they don't have any dings or cracks in them. And especially for fatty foods, I always use vinegar, just because it definitely gets that off, so you're not getting a seal. And then I've got my towel with my vinegar. I'm gonna wipe the edges. I just like to wipe them really good. Pay attention, like I said, to see if there's any cracks or nicks in the jars, because it can happen in a dishwasher or what have you. These are all clean and sterilized jars. Yeah, I'm not sure what the weather is by you, but it finally has calmed down a bit. So we're doing some plantings. My herb garden is doing well. And if you saw my last video, I made some refrigerator pickles with some of my dill from my garden. And they turned out great. We were crunching on them this morning. Okay, so now, get that closed up. I've got the rings and the lids set to the side. So you're gonna put a new lid, because you cannot reuse those once you're pressure canning. If you do dry canning, that's fine. And then you're just kind of finger tight, you know, just until it just starts feeling tight. I usually kind of do a double take as I'm screwing them on. My hand doesn't always work the greatest. I think they look ready to go. All right, let's get them in the canner. And like I said, this does 7 pint jars and 5 quart jars if you'd like, but we like to do the pint jars. I do like wide mouth as well. It's just so much easier to get things in and out, the food in and out. And it definitely fits, like I said, like 1 pound of meat. Okay. All right, I'm gonna switch camera angles so that you can see what it's looking like. Okay, let's get this lid on, and you just line it up, install, remove, and then you turn it to the lock position, and then this, slide it over until it clicks, and then it's out of the way of the pressure thing that pops up. This is off, the regulator, and you can see it says vent, can or vent, and so when we put it on a certain way. So now we're going to go down to the details here. So fill jars, okay, pressure can, and it's going. Okay friends, so steam is coming out of both of where we put the regulator and the pressure lock. So next phase is we are waiting for it to, right now it says heat, and oh, actually the vent just went off. So vent, and then 10 minutes lit up, and then once that expires, we will be putting the regulator on. Awesome. So we're on to the next step. Okay friends, it says put regulator on. So I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna put it on, and there we go. And I'm gonna advance it, that I did it. And there's the 75. So now we just wait, and then eventually this will pop up, and that's kind of the indicator of that it's gotten to full pressure. And then at the end, you wait for that to go down. So I'll see you in about 75 minutes. Okay friends, it just turned to canning. The regulator's on, and that popped up. So it's official, we're canning. Okay, the 75 minutes are up, and it says cool, and then it is doing its thing. So this is still up, regulator still on, and then the next step is cool lights up, and then cooling phase may take an hour and a half. And then when 10 minutes lights up, the timer begins the final cool down. So that'll be our next step. So see you then. Okay, it's official. It says that it's done. So it beeps 10 times. Done lights up, press and hold X for 30 seconds. And then confirm the air vent cover lock has dropped. So I'm seeing that it hasn't, and my cat's in the background, don't mind, but it hasn't dropped, so I'm gonna let it go for longer until that drops down. So it does say done, but I'm not gonna remove it. So I'm just waiting for that yet. Okay friends, it is all done. So we are going to get the jars out, and I am going to open this. And you always want to open it away from yourself. You gotta lift that up. So you turn, and then I'm gonna open it away. And get that over to the sink. Oh, it's already popping. Oh, nice. All right, so I'm gonna get these out and onto where they're gonna cool. So that was a couple of them already. Oh, this one just popped right in my hand. Love that. So 7 jars fit in here, wide mouth pint, and then 8 actually fit in for regular mouth. And then 5 quarts. And it's definitely a fun time saver. It did kind of heat the house up somewhat because of the steam, but nothing like a regular pressure canner. And you leave these sit for 24 hours, and then you can label them and store them away for a rainy day. And they are literally still boiling. And I'm gonna unplug the unit and let the water cool down and then get that cleaned up. All right, success. And then over the next few hours, they probably will pretty much all pop. I'm trying to look and see. Yeah, I think they pretty much all popped already. So let me get this unplugged and then I'll close up the video. Okay friends, a super successful day. I got some canning done. I did 7 pint jars, which equals about 7 pounds of ground beef to make some room in our chest freezer. So I appreciate you stopping by my little channel. If you like videos like this, hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time on Christine's Routines. Take care and God bless. Oh, oopsie. So I am going to put together some, good golly. Hey friends, welcome back to my kitchen. What, ooh,